The wide range in the structure of higher plant will never fall to fascinate us, even though the angiosperms show such a large diversity in external structures or morphology. They are all characterized by a presence of root, stem, leaf, flowers, and fruits. In chapter 2 and 3, we talk about classifications of plant based on morphological and other characteristics. For any successful attempt at classifications and at understanding any higher plant that or for that matter any living organism, we need to know standard techniques, terms, and standard definitions. We also need to know about the possible variation in different parts found as adaptations of the plants to their environment. Example, adaptations to various habits for protections, climbing, storage, etc. If you pull out any weed, you will see that all of them have roots, stems, and leaves. They may be bearing flowers and fruits. The underground part of the flowering plant is the root systems, while the proteins above the ground form the shoot system. 5.1. The root. In majority of the dicotyledonous plants, the direct elongation of the radicle leads to the formation of primary root which grow inside the soil. It bear lateral roots of several orders that are referred to as secondary, tertiary, etc. roots. The primary roots and the branches constitute the taproot systems as seen in the mustard plants. In monocotyledonous plants, the primary roots is short-lived and is replaced by a large number of roots. These roots originate from the base of the stem and constitute the fibrous root systems as seen in the wheat plant. In some plants like grass, monstera, and the banyan tree, roots arise from parts of the plant other than the radicle and are called adventitious roots. The main function of the root system are absorption of water and minerals from the soil, providing a proper anchorage to the plant's part, storing rivers, food materials, and synthesis of plant growth regulators. 5.1.1 Regions of the root. The root is covered at the apex by a thimble-like structure called the root cap. It protects the tender apex of the root as it makes its way through the soil. A few millimeters above the root cap is the region of meristematic activities. The cells of these regions are very small, thin-walled, and with dense protoplasm. They divide repeatedly. The cells proximal to these regions undergo rapid elongation and enlargement and are responsible for the growth of the root in length. This region is called the region of elongations. The cells of the elongation zone gradually differentiate and mature. Hence, the zones proximal to regions of elongation is called the region of maturations. From this region, some of epidermal cells form very fine and delicate thread-like structure called root hairs. These root hairs absorb water and minerals from the soils. 5.2. The stem. What are the features that distinguish a stem from a root? The stem in the ascending part of the axis bearing branches, leaf, flower, and fruit is bears nodes and internodes. The region of the stem where leaves are born are called nodes, while internodes are the proteins between two nodes. The stem bears buds which may be terminal or axillary. Stem is generally green when young and lateral often become woody and dark brown. The main function of stem is spreading out branches bearing leaves, flower, and fruits. It conduct water, minerals, and photosynthesis. Some stems perform the function of storage of food, support, protections, and vegetative propagation. 3. The leaf is a lateral, generally flattened structure borne on the stem. It develops at the node and bears a bud in its axial. The axillary buds later develop into a branch. Leaves originate from two apical stems and are arranged in acropetal orders. They are the most important vegetative organs for photosynthesis. A typical leaf consists of three main parts: leaf, base, petioles, and lamina. The leaf is attached to the stem by the leaf base and may bear two lateral small leaf-like structure called stiples. In monocotyledonous, the leaf base extends into a sheath covering the stem partially or fully. In some leguminous plants, the leaf base may become swell, which is called the pulvinus. The petioles help hold the plate to light. Long, thin, flexible petioles allow leaf plate to flutter in wind, thereby cooling the leaf and bringing fresh air to leaf surface. The lamina or the leaf plate is the green extended part of the leaf. With veins and windlets, there is usually a middle prominent vein which is known as the midrib. Veins provide rigidity to the leaf plate and act as a channels of transport for water, minerals, and food materials. The shape, margin, apex, surface, and extent of incisions of lamina varies in different leaves. 5.3.1 Venation. The arrangement of vein and the veinlets in the lamina of leaf is termed as venation. When the veinlets form a network, the venation is termed as reticulate. When the veins run parallel to each other within a lamina, the venation is termed as parallel. Lips of dicotyledonous plates generally possess reticulate venations with parallel venation in the characteristics of most monocotyledonous. 5.3.2 Types of leaf. A leaf is said to be a simple when its lamina is entire or when inside the incisions do not touch the midrib. When the incisions of the lamina reach up to the midrib, breaking it into a number of leaflets. The leaf is called compound. A bud is present in the axial of petioles in both simple and compound leaves but not in the axial of leaflets of the compound leaves. The compound leaves may be of two types. In a innately compound leaf, a number of leaflets are present on a common axis, the rachis, which represent the midrib of the leaf as in neem. In plementally compound leaves, the leaflets are attached to a common point that's at the tip of petioles as in silk cotton. 5.3.3 Phyllotoxy. Phyllotoxy in the patterns of arrangement of leaves on the stem of branch. This is usually of three types: alternate, opposite, and correlate. In alternate types of phyllotoxy, a single leaf arises at each node in alternate manners as in a China rose, mustard, and sunflower plants. Is opposite types of pair of leaves arise at each node and lie opposite to each other as in a chloropropis and guava plants. If more than two leaves arise at a node and form a whorl, it is called whorlets in Estonia. 5.4 The inflorescence. A flower is a modified shoot wherein the shoot apical meristem change to floral meristems. Internodes do not elongate and the axis get condensed. The apex produce different kind of floral appendix laterals at successive nodes instead of leaves. When a shoot tip transform into a flower, it is always solitary. The arrangement of flower on the floral axis is termed as inflorescence. Depending on whether the apex gets developed into a flower or continues to grow, two major types of inflorescence are defined: racemose and cymose. In a racemose types of inflorescence, the main axis continue to the grow. The flowers are borne lateral in acropetal successions. In cymose types of inflorescence, the main axis terminate in a flower, hence is limited in growth. The flowers are borne in a basipetals order. 5.5 The flower. The flower is the reproductive unit in the angiosperm. It is means sexual reproduction. A typical flower has four different kinds of whorls arranged successively on the swelling end of the stalk or called thalamus or receptacle. These are calyx, corolla, androeciums, and gynoeciums. Calyx and corolla are accessory organs, while androecium and gynoeciums are reproductive organs. In some flowers like lily, the calyx and corolla are not distinctive and are termed as a perinth. When a flower has both androeciums and gynoeciums, it is a bisexual. A flower having either only stems or only carpels is unisexual. In symmetry, the flower may be actinomorphic, that's radical symmetry, or zygomorphic, that bilateral symmetry. When a flower can be divided into two equal radial halves in any radial planes passing through the center, it is said to be a actinomorphic. Example: mustard, dhatura, chili. When it can be divided into two similar halves only in one particular vertical plane, it is a zygomorphic. Example: pea, gulmohar, bean, cassia. A flower is asymmetric, that's irregular, if it cannot be divided into two similar halves by any vertical plane passing through the center, as in canna. A flower may be trimerous, tetramerous, or pentamerous when the flower appendix are in multiple of 3, 4, or 5 respectively. Flowers with bracts reduced leaf found at the base of the pedicles are called bracteate, and those without bracts ebracteate. Based on the position of calyx, corolla, and androecium with respect of the ovary on thalamus, the flowers are described as hypogamous, perigamous, and epigamous. In the hypogamous flower, the gynoeciums occupy the highest position while the other parts are situated below it. The ovary in such flowers is said to be a superior. Example: mustard, China rose, and brinjals. If gynoecium is situated in the center and other parts of the flower are located on the rim of the thalamus almost at the same level, it is called perigynous. The ovary hair is said to be half inferior. Example: plum, rose, peach. In epigynous flowers in the margin of thalamus grow upward, unclosing the ovary complete and getting fused with it. The other parts of flower arise above the ovary, hence the ovary is said to be inferior, as in flowers of guava and cucumber. and the ray for florist of sunflower. 5.5.1 Parts of flower. Each flower normally has 4 floral whorls with calyx, corolla, androeciums and gynoeciums. Calyx. The calyx is the outermost whorl of the flowers and the members are called sepals. Generally, sepals are green leaf-like and protect the flower in the bud stage. The calyx may be chemocephalous, that sepals united, or polycephalous, that sepals free. Corolla. Corolla is composed of petals. Petals are usually brightly colored to attract insect for pollinations. Like calyx, corolla may also be hemopetalous, that's petals united, or polypetalous, that petals free. The shape and color of corolla vary greatly in plants. Corolla may be tubular, whale-shaped, funnel-shaped, or wheel-shaped. Estivations. The mode of arrangement of sepals or petals in floral words with respect to the other member of same whorl is known as estivations. The main types of estivation are velvet, twisted, imbricate, and vexillary. When sepals or petals in whorl just touch one another at the margins without overlapping, as in a calotropis, it is said to be a valvate. If one margin of appendix overlap that of the next one and so on, as in a china rose, ladyfingers and cottons, it is a called twisted. If the margins of sepals or petals overlap one another but not in any particular directions, as in cassia and gulmohar, the estivation in the called imbricate. In pea and bean flowers there are 5 petals. The largest that standard overlap two lateral petals that swings, which in turn overlap in two smallest anterior petals that scale. This types of estivation is known as vexillary or papilionaceous. Androecium. Androecium is a composed of stamen. Each stamens, which represent the male reproductive organ, consist of a stalk or a filament and an another. Each anther is usually bilobed and each lobe has 2 chambers. The pollen sac. The pollen grain are composed in pollen sac. A sterile stamen is called staminode. Stamen of flower may be united with other members such as petals or among themselves. When stamens are attached to the petals, they are epipetalous, as in a brinjal of, or epiphyllous when attached to the perinth, as in the flowers of lily. The stamens in flowers may either remain free, that's polyandrous, or may be united in varying degrees. The stamens may be united into one bunch or one bundles, that's monodelphous, as in a china rose, or two bundles, that's didelphous, as in pea, or into more than two bundles, that's polydelphous. As in a citrus, there may be a variation in the length of filamentous within a flower, as in saliva and mustard. Gynoecium. Gynoecium is the female reproductive part of flowers and is made of one or more carpels. A carpel consists of 3 parts, namely stigma, style, and ovary. Ovary is the enlarged basal part on which lies the elongated tube. The style connect the ovary to the stigma. The stigma is usually at the tip of the styles and is the respective surface for pollen screen. Each ovary bears one or more ovules attached to a flatted cushions like placenta. When more than one carpel is present, they may be free, that's as in lotus and rose, and are called apocarpus. They are termed cyanocarpus when carpel are fused, as in mustard and tomato. After fertilizations, the ovules develop into seed and the ovary matures into a fruit. Placentations. The arrangement of ovule within the ovary is known as placentations. The placentations are of different types, namely marginal, axis, parietal, basals, centrals, and free centrals. In marginal placentations, the placenta forms a ridge along the ventral structure, ventral suture of the ovary, and the ovule are burned on this ridge, forming 2 rows, as in P. When the placenta is axial and the ovule attached to it in a multilocular ovule, the placentation is said to be axial, as in china rose, tomato, and lemon is parietal placentation. The ovule develop on the inner wall of ovary or on peripheral parts. Ovary in one chambered but is become two chambered due to the formation of the false septums, example mustard and argemone. When the ovule are burned on central axis and septa are absent in a dentus and prime rows, the placentation is called free central. In basals, placentation is placenta develops at the base of ovary and a single ovule is attached to it, as in a sunflower's marigold. 5.6 The fruit. The fruit is a characteristic features of the flowering plant. It is a mature or reapnate ovary developed after fertilizations. If a fruit is formed without fertilizations of the ovary, it is called parthenocarpy fruit. Generally, the fruit consists of a wall of pericarp and seeds. Pericarp may be dry or fleshy. When pericarp is thick and fleshy, it is differentiated into outer epicarp, the middle mesocarp, and the inner endocarp. In mango and coconut, the fruit is known as a drupe. They develop from monocarpillary superior ovary and are one seed. In mango, the pericarp as is well differentiated into an outer thin epicarp, a middle fleshy edible mesocarp, and an inner stony hard endocarp. In coconut, which is also a drupe, the mesocarp is fibrous. The seed. The ovule after fertilizations develop into seed. A seed is made of a seed coat and an embryo. The embryo is made up of a radical an embryonal axis and one that's as in wheat, maize, or two cotyledonous that's as in gram and pea. 5.7.1 Structure of dicotyledonous seed. The outermost covering of a seed is the seed coat. The seed coat has two layers, the outer testa and the inner tegmen. The hilum is a scale on the seed coat, which the developing seeds were attached to the fruit. Above the hilum is a small pore called the micropyle. Within the seed coat is the embryo consisting of an embryonal axis and two cotyledons. The cotyledons are often fleshy and fully of reserved food materials. At the 2 inch of the embryonal axis are present the radial and the plumule. In some seeds, such as a castor, the endosperm formed as a result for double fertilization is a food-storing tissue and called endospermic seeds. In plants such as a bean, gram, and pea, the endosperm is not present in mature seed, and such seeds are called non-endospermous. 5.7.2 Structure of monocotyledonous seed. Generally, monocotyledonous seeds are endospermic, but some, as in orchids, are non-endospermic. In the seeds of plants such as maize, the seed coat is membranous and generally fused with the fruit wall. The endosperm is bulky and stores food. The outer covering of endosperm separates the embryo by a proteinaceous layer called aleuron layer. The embryo is small and situated in a groove at one end of endosperm. It consists of one large and shield-shaped cotyledons known as sacuculum and a short axis with a plumule and radicle. The plumule and radicle are unclosed and seed which are called coleptile and coleresia respectively. 5.8 Semi-technical descriptions of a typical flowering plants. Various morphological features are used to describe a flowering plants. The descriptions has to be brief in a simple and scientific language and presented in a proper sequence. The plant is described beginning with its habits, vegetative characters, root, stem, and leaf, and then floral characters, inflorescence, and flower parts. After describing various parts of plants, a floral diagram and a floral formula are presented. The floral formula is represented by some symbol in the floral formula. BR stand for bracket, K stand for calyx, C for corolla, P for perianth, A for androecium, and G for gynoecium. Male, female, and bisexual plants for actinomorphic and percent for zygomorphic nature of flower fusion is indicated by unclosing the figure within bracket and additions by line draw above the symbol of the floral parts. A floral diagram provides information about the number of parts of flower, their arrangement, and the relations they have with one another. The positions of the mother axis with respect to the flower is represented by a dot on the top of the floral diagram. Calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium are drawn in successive oles, calyx being the outermost and the gynoecium being in center. Floral formula also show cohesion and additions within parts of oles and between oles. The floral diagram and floral formula in figure 5.16 represented the mustard plants family Acacia. 5.9 Solanaceae. It is a large family commonly called as the potato family. It is widely distributed in tropics, subtropics, and even red zone. Vegetative characters. Plant mostly herbs, shrub, and rarely small trees. Stem. Herbaceous, rarely woody, aerial, erect, cylindrical, branched, solid or hollow. Hairy or glabrous underground stem in potato that solanum tuberosum. Leaves. alternate, simple, rarely neatly compound, exstipulate, emanation, reticulate. Floral characters: inflorescence, solitary, axillary or cymose, as in Solanum. Flower bisexual, actinomorphic, calyx, sepals 5 united, tricident, valvate estivations. Corolla, petals 5 united, valvate estivations. Androecium, stamens 5, epipetalous. Gynoecium, bicarpellary, obligately placed. Cynocarpus obrisuperioris, bilocular. Placenta swollen with many ovules, axial. Fruits berry or corpus. Seed many endospermous. Economic importance: many plants belonging to this family are source of food. That's tomato, brinjals, potato. Spicy, that's chili. Medicine, that's belladonna. Ashwagandha, fumigatory, that's tobacco. Ornamentalous, that's petunia.